Okay, so welcome to day 2 of our training, Learning to Create a Mindset of Wealth. There's so many different components to what we are going to be talking about today. So for those who are here in the live training, if you have any questions, I want you guys to put them in the chat box or wait for after the training for the questions to be answered so I can make sure to give you the information that you need. Now, today is going to be a shorter training and we're going to be talking about the importance of why we let go of the how around creating money or just wealth creation in general. Because for those who attended yesterday, and we discussed how creating a wealthy mind is more than just mindset, right? It's learning to look at so many different areas, and it's learning to look at our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Okay. This is a self-coaching model that was developed by Brooke Castillo that I like to use just to help me break down the process, to help me create awareness around when am I stuck in the energy of trying to figure out how I'm going to create money. It's very easy to get stuck into that place. And just let me give you some quick background and to remind those for how the brain works. So a lot of times we want to set a goal, which is just an arbitrary number that we pick up that we want to create. So any type of goal that you might have, the amount of money that you want to create, it's always going to fall in under the circumstance line, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Wealth isn't a number, right? Wealth is more of a mindset, and it's the way that our mind and our body connect to each other and the way that we connect to all that is. So when we're thinking about creating a goal and creating money, we always want to put it in the circumstance, because the way that you choose to think about that goal and the way that you choose to think about the amount of money that you want to create is going to determine the results that you create, if you're actually going to do that. Now, the thing that we are in control of, I just want to remind you, is the way that we think, the way that we feel, and then the actions that we take. So the brain wants to know how you are going to create money. It just wants to know. And so a good rule of thumb that I like to use for myself and that I advise my clients to use is that we always do the math before the drama. Always. So if you have a goal of creating 120,000, let's just say this year, that's the goal that you've set out. I like to look at the math first. So that if you are selling packages for $10,000, that's all you need to create this year. It's 12 clients, right? You kind of want to look at the numbers just to give your brain an idea, of what creating $120,000 is going to look or look like. Now, a lot of times our brain will get stuck on creating like that $120 in one specific way. Now we do the math to take so that we could then address the drama behind it. So when I was a couple months ago, when I was trying to, I was like, as I sat in prayer and I sat in meditation, and I was like, how am I going to energetically connect to this goal? I want to be able to feel as if the goal that I created, my goal was 50,000. I wanted to create 50,000 in a month. And I sat with it for a little bit because I knew that I wasn't in the line, and I knew that it was just a number, but there was something that was keeping me from actually being able to create it. And one of the lessons that I was shown, or that I was taught, is like, you need to let go of when that money comes. And I think sometimes our brains get stuck in the mindset of creating something in a certain week or in a certain amount of time or in a month or a year, right? The time piece is a little bit tricky because our brains are very linear, and when we're creating, right, we're teaching our brains to think of it being done, like without the evidence of being done. And so when I set out the goal of 50,000 in a month, my brain locked onto that. It's like you have 30 days, right? And what I noticed and I paid attention to is that how my brain wanted to tell me that, like, if you don't create it in the next 30 days, this is what is going to happen, right? It wanted to give me reasons in case I fail. It wanted to warn me what would happen if you didn't do it? What would I make this mean, right? But I want to remind you that when we set these goals of creating money, it's because we want to feel something. Like, that's all. Like, we want to feel an emotion. And so I like to ask myself, like, what would I get to feel after I created the money? What would I get to then feel? Because often, or I guess like for myself, and what I would encourage you to do is you take that feeling, put it in the feeling line, because our feelings, our emotions are what connect us to the future. Our emotions are what connect us to creating a future, right? So our thoughts create our results, but our feelings connect us to it. That's why you hear a lot of times in the coaching world, like create this having done energy. And a lot of times I've noticed that coaches want to spin out, like, what does that mean? How does that feel? Right? You just get to decide what having done energy feels like. When I first started my journey as a coach, I remember thinking, I'm going to be so excited creating $10,000 a month. And then I did. And because I practiced the excitement of it, when it actually happened, it didn't feel as exciting, so to speak, as I thought that it would, right? It wasn't this huge surge of emotions. What I noticed is that when I started to learn to create 5 figures consistently, the emotions that came with that were a lot more calm. I was feeling a lot more grateful. And I started looking at the creative process in a very different way. My brain wants to think that I would just be like so excited and jumping up and down and like the happiest ever. And really what I've noticed is that when I create and I hit my goals, like I actually feel very calm and I have a very normal day. And it's very important to celebrate when you do. I want to very, very much encourage you to celebrate when you hit the goals that you set. And I also want you to pay attention to, well, let me just give you I guess this is some advice or something to think about, is that when you learn to feel the emotion ahead of time, like feel the emotion of the goal that's connected to the goal that you want, when you actually hit that goal, it doesn't feel so explosive, right? I feel like it's very subtle. It's very connected. It feels almost very grounded. And my brain, when I hit goals, right? My brain just like, yeah, of course we did. We spent so much time feeling the emotions before it actually happened. When it actually happened, it wasn't surprising. It was very welcoming. Okay. Now, where was I going with that? We were talking about, the how. Okay, I want to tie this all together because letting go of the how. My favorite analogy that I've heard used time and time again is I like to think about a lemon. Like if you were to let's just say your goal is to create $1,000 this month or 10,000, whatever number that might be. I want you to put that in the circumstance line for yourself and think of that as a lemon. Now, the lemon exists. If you guys can close your eyes and imagine a lemon, imagine tasting a lemon, imagine smelling a lemon. Like if you can breathe that in, right? If you have to put this on pause, if you're going to rewatch this, that's fine too. But I just want you to spend time thinking about a lemon. When we think about that lemon that we're holding in our hand, our bodies have physical responses to it, right? We know that a lot of times when we drink lemonade, like our mouth will water, or we could actually smell the lemon without it in our hands. So when you're creating a goal, I want you to think of the goal as a lemon, and to practice using all 5 senses. So because we're going to use the example of 10,000 this month. Okay, so I'm holding that lemon, that 10,000 goal in my hand. And a lot of times, like I think of the 10,000 as the juice that exists inside the lemon. And when we're squeezing the lemon, right, we're trying to control the way that $10,000 come to us. So you'll often hear like you'd have to like let go, like you have to release, you have to stop squeezing the lemonade that already exists. That's when I think of, because if you can imagine, right, the lemon with the peel on it and you're just trying to squeeze it and trying to get all the juice inside of it, it's not actually very useful, right? It's almost impossible until you cut it open and look at it from, all from different perspectives. But I want you to think about if you're noticing that your body is tight. Okay, we're going to look at our bodies for a second. When we're trying to control the way that money comes to us, oftentimes it is like squeezing a lemon. Our body will just get really tight. And it's going to require some practice for you to bring awareness to when your body goes like this versus when your body opens up, which is more of the receptive energy, right? Money already exists out there for us to have. How open are you to receive it? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. How open are you for receiving it? Or are you trying to control it, which is always an action that we take? We want to control how money comes to us so that we, again, can feel a certain way. So if you're noticing that your body is tightening up, I want you to pay attention to why. Why are you trying to control the way money comes to you? What aren't you willing to receive at this time? Receiving is an action, right? It's opposite of control, really is. So when you have two different energies that you're operating from when creating money is, are you willing to receive it and allow it to come to you? Same with clients. Or are you trying to control the way that looks? And let me give you an example, because I'm trying to think there in my life when I was trying to control the way that clients came to me, my brain would play out like, I need this many consults and I need this amount of time and I need this. And my brain would piece things together so that I could feel better. It's like, yep, that's how you're going to do it. And when it didn't happen that way, I would feel very disappointed. And I learned very quickly that wasn't very useful. But when I think about trying to control how money comes, I'm going to give you guys some examples. Like the feelings of how energy include disappointment. It includes like a graspy, a needy, an expectant. Sometimes we feel entitled to have money. I've worked so hard. I should be making more. I've put so much content out there. I should have more clients. Don't people see that what I have is good? They should want my help. Okay. That's what I call like an expectant energy, right? Where we expect clients just to pull money out of their pockets, throw it at us and say yes to everything that we have without actually doing the work of letting go. Like, right? The vacuum law of prosperity states that the more we let go, the more we release, the more we stop squeezing that lemon, the more we make room for money, for clients, for what it is that we want to create. It's more than just money, by the way, but we're talking about that specifically today. Whatever it is that we're wanting to create, we make room for it by learning to let go, like let go of that energy, let go of that control. Okay, so that is back to the emotions also. If you're noticing that maybe you're feeling angry or frustrated or irritated, those are emotions of how energy. I'm just going to label them that way for fun. Okay. If you are noticing that you are desperate or you are needy, right? I need money, right? That's going to show up in an emotional way as well. Your brain, when it thinks that it needs something, it's going to create evidence for why you don't have it. So if your thought about money, about the goal, like if we were to put the goal of the 10,000 in the circumstance line, and your thought is I need more clients, I need more money, your brain will create the opposite result. It's just what it does, because it will then look for why it doesn't have it. It's be like, yes, no one's calling you, no one's reaching out. Look at the numbers, right? It's going to make you start looking at engagement, right? I want to say most of the clients that I've worked with have zero to little engagement with me on my posts, except for maybe a handful of them. But my brain wanted to make all the engagement an issue because I needed clients. Okay, check in with yourself if that's happening for you. As far as the feelings that we want to be operating from, when I think of an open and receptive energy, because again, receiving is an action that we take. And if we were to put receiving in the action line, what emotions would allow you to receive money, would allow you to receive clients? Okay, think about it in that way. For me, the feeling of grounded, calm, peace, connected. Connected is a huge one for me. The feelings of sometimes sometimes I feel a little bit eager, right? I'm like, woo, like I get a little bit excited, but it's a very low vibrational feeling when it comes to excite. I'm not like jumping up and down, right? It's a very calm energy. And that energy is what allows me to receive clients and receive money and receive the things that I set out for. So just a recap. when we let go of how money is created, we can do that in a few different ways, right? We can take a few different actions, right? But really, letting go of the how is going to come easier for you when you pay attention to the feeling that you have around the goal that you set. So once you identify the feeling, you could identify the thoughts, right? For you to be able to question. But we are so feeling driven as humans. It's easier to connect to the feeling and then figure out the thoughts behind it. So letting go of the how, the quickest way to make money is to let go. More than just letting go of the how. Let go of the beliefs, let go of the emotions, let go of the expectant energy. I remember when I started my journey as a coach, I was so entitled. And it shows up in different ways for all of us, for me, but like it was showing up in I want this now, right? That expectant energy, or I should have this now. And I'm going to give you this exercise because it really, really helped loosen the grip that my brain had around all the things I believed I should already have, which is also another way of controlling the how. But I just walked around for days. Everything that I thought should be a certain way, I told myself it shouldn't. So for example, I would stop working. I would walk out of my office and I would walk around and look at my kids. I'm like, I'm not entitled to a clean house. I'd walk downstairs. I'm not entitled to fresh food being made for me all the time. I'm not entitled to the floor being vacuumed. I'm not entitled to people reaching out for me. I'm not entitled to clients like knocking on my door all day, every day. I'm not entitled to creating $10,000 a month. So everything that I thought I should have, I used that experience and I just created evidence, not from a judgmental place, but I walked around and I just told my brain, yeah, I'm not entitled to people liking what I do. I'm not entitled to my husband being on board with me growing a business. I'm not entitled to my kids being happy because I work full time now as a coach. I'm not entitled, right? I just started releasing all of the energy in all areas of my life so that I could feel more peaceful, more calm, more receptive, more open. And that's just a fun activity that I would encourage you to try. It could only benefit your business, right? There's no harm in releasing expectations. There's no harm in letting go of the lemon, right? And to stop squeezing it and expecting all the juice to come. And that's what I have for you. And so thank you for coming.